Let's go ahead and add a control arm assembly. So I'm going to make a new collection, control arm. And I'm going to make a new rigid body, so a new mesh or a new cube. And I'm going to move it along the Y and scale it down quite a bit. I'm going to move it a little bit along the X and scale it down along the Z quite a bit. Let me look at it from a top view. Let me just scale it down a little more. I'm going to tab into it and scale these vertices. I'm going to scale them along the Y, so it kind of looks like more of a triangle like that. Okay, and this is going to be it's going to be a rigid body, and we'll call it control arm, like that. And we need to add a mass factor, so let me turn off that. Come over here, let's copy this, or we'll copy it from the upright, and then paste it here. And we actually want this to just be 10. Yeah. Okay. So it's going to be 10 kilograms. Let me move my cursor there. Cursor to selected. And the constraints we need are a axle and a ball joint. So I'm going to do Shift D, move them here, move these to the cursor, and then I'm going to move them along the X. And let's look at them from the top view. So I want my axle to be basically right here, RC 90. I'm going to rotate it to look like that. And I want my ball joint to look like this. And we want to parent both of these to the control arm, like that. And we also want to connect them. So we'll connect the second to there. And for the ball joint, we'll connect the first to the control arm. All right, let's do a shock assembly. So I'm going to move my cursor back to here, Shift S, cursor, and I'm going to do a Shift A, cube, move it along the Y. I'm going to make it quite a bit smaller than that. And let's make a new collection. Oops. Let me delete that. Make a new collection. This is going to be our shock. Okay, and this is going to be our lower spring, rigid body. Make it a rigid body. We want to copy a mass factor, copy driver, paste driver, okay. And we want to copy this, Shift D along the Z, put it there. We're going to call this the upper shock, okay? All right, so we need a ball joint, a linear spring, a slider, and a linear motor. So I'm going to select all those, do Shift D, move it there. I'm going to select both of my shock, upper, this should be upper shock. Or upper, okay, this should be upper spring. Okay. Let me select both of these, move my cursor there in between them. And then I can select all these objects I copied and do Shift S, selection to cursor. It puts them all in the middle where I want them to be. And I just need to do a little rotating. So my spring is in the right position. I need to rotate my linear or my slider, so I can do RY 90. And somewhere in here is my ball joint. I need to move that down, GZ. And I need to rotate my preload motor, which is what this is going to be, RY90. And I need to move it along the X, right there. Okay. And for this ball joint, let me move it down. I need to move or rotate this ball joint, so I need RX90, so it looks like that. And then I want to copy it, so Shift D, Z, and move one on top, like that. That should be it for that. Except we need to do some connections. So let's connect this to the lower shot, this ball joint to the upper shot, or upper spring rigid body. We need to connect our spring from each of the upper to lower springs. And the same thing with the slider, upper to lower spring, and the preload motor, upper, lower. Okay, and then we just need to parent. We need to parent this ball joint to this heat transform, and we need to parent everything else to this one, heat transform.